When I woke up, it wasn't my mother's face waiting beside my bed. It was her hand. Tan, manicured, impatient, scrolling across a tablet in the clinic lobby like she was flipping through vacation photos. The receptionist kept her voice polite and cheerful. Before discharge, we just need to confirm the visitor log. My mother smiled on cue. Then the smile slowly faded. Her thumbs slowed, stopped. Her lips parted slightly as if the air had suddenly turned to ice. "No," she whispered. "That can't be." Because the same name appeared again and again on the log. Every night. Ethan Vale. I didn't witness that moment myself. At the time, I was upstairs in the ACU, learning how to sit up without my heart racing like it was trying to escape my chest. But later, one of the nurses described my mother's expression. How her face had gone pale in a way no tan could hide. Because the hospital had records. And records don't lie. For the first time in years, I tasted something unfamiliar. Proof. My name is Rowan. I'm 29, a 911 dispatcher in the quiet suburbs outside San Diego. One of those places where the houses look calm on purpose. People think dispatchers just answer phones. What we really do is hold strangers together while their world burns down around them. But the thing that burned me wasn't the job. It was my family. In our house, Logan was the golden child. The easy smile. Sunshine personality. So much potential, my mother loved to say, as if potential paid bills. I was the responsible one. The fixer. The backup battery. It started with small request. Can you cover the copay? Just this once. Your father's medication went up. Logan needs airfare for a competition. This is big for his future. Every request tasted the same. Guilt wrapped in praise. You're strong, my mother would say. You'll figure it out. My father never praised. He used silence. If I hesitated, he'd pause just long enough for the shame to grow. Do what you want, he'd say. In our family that meant, do what we want, or we'll punish you with distance. So I did. For 5 years I bled money quietly. Home repairs. Logan's debts. Emergency expenses. My father's medical bills. More than $90,000 easily, especially if you counted all the just until next month transfers that never came back. But it wasn't just money. I bled time, sleep, patience. Eventually I started bleeding pieces of myself. The warning signs were small, the way danger usually is. My hands shook after long shifts. My vision blurred when I stood up too quickly. I forgot simple words. Most nights I survived on vending machine crackers and cold coffee because eating felt optional. Then came the night everything finally broke. The dispatch room was too bright. Too warm. I was finishing my 3rd straight overnight shift when a call lit up my screen. An older woman was screaming. "My husband, he's not breathing. Please." My voice switched automatically to the calm one. The one my coworkers trusted. "Put the phone on speaker," I told her. "Lay him flat. Place your hand in the center of his chest. We're going to do compressions together." She sobbed. I counted with her. CPR instructions were second nature to me. I could do them in my sleep. And that's exactly what my body tried to do. Mid-sentence my brain stuttered. The screen blurred. The fluorescent lights stretched into white blades. My tongue felt heavy like it had forgotten how to form words. "Stay with me," I started. But I didn't finish. The floor rushed up to meet me. Someone shouted my name. My headset clattered against the desk. The last thing I heard was a coworker yelling, sharp with panic, "Call an ambulance." Then everything went dark. When I woke up, the ceiling above me was hospital white, the kind of white that feels like it's trying to erase you. Machines beeped beside my bed. Steady. Judgmental. My mouth tasted like metal. My chest ached deep inside like someone had squeezed my heart in a fist and left fingerprints. "I see you're awake." I turned my head. Instinctively, I expected familiar faces. My mother. My father. Maybe Logan, offering that half-hearted sympathy he used when cameras were around. But the chair beside my bed was empty. No flowers. No toiletries bag. No jacket thrown over the arm like someone had spent the night. Just a plastic cup of water and the quiet hum of a building that didn't care who I was. A nurse noticed my eyes searching the room. Dark hair. Tired eyes. Gentle hands. "You're awake," she said softly. "I'm Dana." My voice came out cracked. "Pie family." Dana paused. It was a small pause. But after years of working dispatch, I knew exactly what pauses meant. People paused before saying things they didn't want to say. They came by, she said carefully. How long? Her gaze stayed steady. About 20 minutes. The number landed like a slap. 20 minutes, I repeated. Dana's mouth tightened. They said they had travel plans. Travel plans. I tried to laugh, but it came out dry and hollow. Where? Dana didn't even need to check the chart. Cancun. Of course it was Cancun. Logan had a surfing event there. One of those glossy international competitions full of sponsors and beach photos. My mother talked about it like it was the Olympics. Every time I looked exhausted, she said the same thing. He needs this, Rowan. Don't be selfish. Dana adjusted my fore. You collapsed from extreme exhaustion, she said gently. And a serious arrhythmia. You're lucky. Lucky? The word felt wrong. As I was alive. But being alive and alone in the ACU felt like its own kind of punishment. I swallowed, my throat aching. Did they ask about me? I asked quietly. Dana kept her professional expression, but something in her eyes sharpened. Your mother asked about paperwork, she said. And your father asked what you'd be able to do once you were discharged. My stomach twisted. And Logan? Dana hesitated. He asked if you were stable. Stable. Like I was a package waiting to be shipped. The next day they returned my phone. It buzzed nonstop in my hand like a trapped insect. Missed calls. Messages. Mom, call me. Dad, don't make this difficult. Logan. A picture of the beach, the ocean sparkling behind him. Under it he had typed, oh. Like my heart hadn't just malfunctioned. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then I set the phone down. Anger takes energy. And my body had none left. That night, Dana came in to check the monitors. She glanced toward the glass door. Do I get many visitors? I asked, mostly because I needed my voice to do something other than shake. Dana's mouth twitched. You do. I blinked. I do. There's been someone, she said. Every night. My skin prickled. Who? Dana didn't answer right away. He came the first night after your family left, she finally said. He asked for room 314. My heart tightened. He didn't even come inside. He just stood by the glass for hours. For hours. She nodded. Quiet. Like he didn't want to wake you. Like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to be there. I tried to picture it. Someone choosing a hospital hallway over a warm bed. Does he have a name? I asked. Dana's eyes softened. It's in the visitor log. Later that night I finally saw him. A tall figure stood at the far end of the corridor, moving slowly, careful not to make noise. He stopped outside my room. He didn't enter. He simply looked through the glass. I couldn't see his face clearly, only the stillness of him. I lifted a weak hand. He nodded once. A quiet, private promise. Then he sat in the chair outside my room. And stayed. The next morning I asked Dana again. What's his name? She studied me for a moment as if deciding whether to tell me. Then she said it. Ethan Vale. The name hit me like shattered glass. Dangerous. My mother used to say that name like a curse. I hadn't heard it in years. Why is he here? I whispered. Dana raised an eyebrow slightly. He spoke with the billing department. My stomach dropped. And? She met my eyes. Your hospital account shows is paid. I stared at her. Paid by who? Dana's voice was calm. By him. It's listed as anonymous, but it's him. For a moment my lungs forgot how to work. My family had flown to Cancun and left me behind with ICU machines. And the man whose name my mother hated had paid my medical bills. When you spend your whole life trying to buy love, you recognize real love by how strange it feels when you finally see it. On the 8th day I could sit up long enough to drink broth without falling asleep halfway through. That was when he finally came inside. He stayed near the doorway like he didn't want to take up too much space. His eyes looked tired. Not old. Just life-tired. Rowan, he said softly. Like my name mattered. I stared at him. Why are you here? He swallowed. I didn't want you to be alone. The simplicity of it cut deeper than anything else. You knew my mother, I said quietly. The name he carried made that obvious. He nodded once. A long time ago. My heart thudded harder. The monitor beside me started beeping faster. "What are you to me?" I asked. He looked down at his hands, then back at me. "I'm someone who should have been here sooner." It wasn't a full answer, but it was close enough to the truth to make my skin go cold. My mother returned on the 10th day. By then I could stand with help. I was sitting on the edge of the bed when I heard her voice in the hallway. Bright. Confident. Offended. "I'm here for my daughter," she said loudly. "I need the discharge paperwork." A minute later, Dana stepped into my room, her expression tight. "Your mother's downstairs," she said quietly. They gave her the visitor log. Across the room, Ethan's jaw tightened, like he had been expecting the storm. A few minutes later, my mother burst into the room like she owned the building. Her hair was perfect. Her skin sun-kissed. Her eyes bright with the kind of energy people get after drinking margaritas on a beach while someone else is breaking. "There you are," she said brightly. "Finally." I didn't answer. She scanned the room, the blanket, the water, the book on the table. Then her eyes narrowed. Why was I given a visitor log? I kept my voice calm. "Hospital policy. Don't play cute," she snapped. "I'm here to take you home." "Take me," I repeated softly. "Like luggage." My mother's face tightened. "Watch your mouth." "Where were you?" I asked. "When I woke up alone in the ICU." She waved her hand dismissively as if my question were nothing more than a mosquito. "You were stable. Logan had his competition. You know that." "Stable." There it was again. "You flew to Cancun," I said slowly, the words tasting like poison, "with your golden boy." Her eyes flashed with anger. "Don't call him that." "Why not?" I said. "It's accurate." She stepped closer, her voice dropping into that sharp, private tone she used whenever she wanted to control a situation. "You always make everything about you." I laughed once, harsh and bitter. That's rich coming from someone who came back tan and angry, demanding my discharge papers. Her jaw clenched. "We have bills, Rowan. This can't drag on." So that was the truth. Finally. Not love. Not concern. Just bills. At that moment, Ethan appeared quietly in the doorway behind her. My mother froze as if she had walked straight into a wall. She turned slowly. For the first time since entering the room, she looked truly afraid. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. Ethan didn't raise his voice. "I'm visiting my daughter." The word daughter dropped into the room like a stone. My mother snapped her head toward me. "Don't listen to him," she snapped. "He's nobody." "Nobody." I repeated. My voice became calm, the same calm dispatcher voice I used when pulling order out of chaos. "Then why did your face go pale when you saw his name in the visitor log?" "Every night." Her mouth opened, then closed. Before she could answer, my father stepped into the room behind her like a shadow that always appeared whenever money was involved. He looked straight at me. Not at the monitors. Not at the bruises on my arms. Not at the 4 in my hand. "What did you do?" he demanded. I blinked slowly. "Hello to you too." My mother recovered first. She pointed at me as if I were a misbehaving child. "She's being dramatic. He's manipulating her." My father's eyes shifted toward Ethan, cold and hard. "Who are you?" Ethan met his stare without flinching. "Someone who stayed." My father's mouth tightened. "This is family business." "Funny," I said quietly. "You treated me like a bill." "Not family." My mother stepped forward again, anger replacing fear, because anger was easier. "Rowan, enough. You're coming home today." "No," I said. She blinked, clearly stunned, as if she had never heard that word from me before. "Excuse me." I took a slow breath. My hands were trembling, but my mind had never been clearer. "I'm not signing a discharge today," I said calmly. "And you can't sign it either." Her eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" I changed my emergency contact. Her face drained of color. "You're not it anymore." "You can't." "I already did," I interrupted. "Proper forms. Hospital administration. Legal paperwork." I held her gaze. "You don't have access to my medical decisions anymore." My father stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You owe us." There was the family motto. I looked straight into his eyes. "I paid you more than $90,000 over 5 years," I said quietly. "Consider that the final installment." My mother's voice turned sharp and venomous. That money was for the family. For your brother. For your father's health. And what was left for me? I asked. A collapse on a dispatch floor and an empty ICU chair. Her lips curled. You're alive, aren't you? Stop acting like it's a tragedy. I stared at her in disbelief. I'm alive because my coworker called an ambulance, I said. And because I nodded toward Ethan, showed up when you didn't. My father's expression hardened. If you cut us off. If I cut you off? I interrupted. You'll stop loving me? I shook my head slowly. You already did. You just kept taking anyway. The room fell into a heavy silence. Then Dana appeared at the door. Her voice was firm. This needs to end. The patient needs rest. My mother turned on her instantly. Stay out of this. Dana didn't move. No. My mother's eyes snapped back to me, desperate now. Rowan, be reasonable. Think about Logan. Think about us. And in that moment something inside me finally snapped into place. Pling. Final. I have been thinking about you, I said quietly. For years. That's the problem. I reached for my phone and opened my banking app. Then I turned the screen toward her. See this. Autopay cancelled. Transfers stopped. The account you had access to is closed. My mother's breath caught. You can't do that. The contractor. Call Cancun, I said calmly. Maybe the ocean will help. Her face twisted with anger. You're ungrateful. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm just done being your emergency fund. My father's voice turned cold. You'll regret this. I gave a small, tired smile. I already regret the last 5 years. My mother turned toward Ethan like he was the devil himself. You don't get to rewrite history. Ethan's reply was quiet but precise. I'm not rewriting anything. I'm correcting what you hid. My mother's eyes flashed as calculations raced through her mind. How to spin this. How to regain control. How to make me the villain. But she had no audience now. Only hospital staff. Only a man whose name filled the visitor log. Only me. So she did the only thing she could without losing face completely. She left. She stormed out first, shoulders stiff with anger. My father followed behind her, throwing one last cold look at me. The look of someone who had just realized I was no longer useful. When the door closed, the silence felt like oxygen. And suddenly, my hands started shaking even harder that I swallowed as a sudden sting burned behind my eyes. It wasn't sadness. It was release. Dana stepped closer and gently adjusted the blanket around me with calm, practiced hands. You did good, she said softly. I feel like I'm going to throw up, I admitted. That's normal, she replied. Your body is finally catching up to what your heart already knew. Across the room, Ethan stood quietly by the window. He didn't touch anything. He didn't move closer. He didn't take up space he hadn't earned. I didn't want to pressure you, he said carefully. I just couldn't let you be alone. I looked at the empty chair beside my bed. The one my family had never bothered to sit in. 10 days. 10 days in the ICU. And every night there had been one man standing behind the glass like a silent lighthouse in the dark. What now? I asked quietly. Ethan looked at me the way someone looks at something fragile they're afraid to break. Now, he said gently, you heal. And then you decide who gets access to your life. A week later, after I was discharged, on my timeline, not my mother's, I stood barefoot on the sand near my apartment. The ocean stretched out in front of me, endless and calm. Waves rolled in, folded over themselves and slipped back into the water. My phone buzzed in my pocket with voicemails I had no intention of listening to. Beside me, Ethan stood quietly with his hands in his pockets. I feel guilty, I admitted. He nodded once. They trained you to feel that way. I stared at the horizon. My mother always said family is the people who show up. Ethan kept his eyes on the water. She's right. I let out a slow breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Then she's probably going to hate the new definition. He didn't laugh. He didn't say, I told you so. He simply stood there, steady and patient. And in that quiet moment, I finally understood the lesson my family had spent years trying to keep me from learning. Sometimes family is the people who share your blood. And sometimes family is the person who sits outside a glass hospital door every night. Saying nothing. Asking for nothing. but refusing to let you disappear alone.